Well, hello, and welcome to the Clue Bird. I'm your host, R. Wayne Browne. I'm also the author of the book, The Clue Bird. So today I'd like to discuss with you the idea that listening is learning. And you're thinking, what's that mean? Well, I hear you. So hear me out. A while back, when I was a kid, well, actually, a long time ago, when I was a kid, I remember many times my grandmother would pull me aside, stoop down eyeball to eyeball, and tell me, hey, you talk too much. I'm in the house and you're playing with your friends out back, and all I hear is your voice. You talk too much. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Maybe He wanted you to listen more than you talk. But think about it this way. When you're talking, you don't learn anything. You're just talking. But when you're listening, there's a good chance that you might learn something. So maybe learning is more valuable to you than talking. You know, I think there's something to what she was saying. The older I get, that becomes more and more wise, and something that maybe we ought to all have been told as a kid early on, that listening is in fact learning. Think about effective communication. It's a two-way street. It's a conversation. It's a back and forth. We listen, and then we respond. And that goes on until the conversation ends. It's a two-way conversation. As kids, however, I know for me, and maybe you as well, I think we kind of got that backwards. If we went down to a playground this afternoon and watched maybe 10, 20 kids playing on a playground, all we would hear is talk. And there's very little listening. I mean, those kids are talking, yelling, laughing, screaming. They're making lots and lots of noise. And it doesn't appear that any of them are listening to the other one. If we were to somehow sneak into a high school cafeteria at lunchtime and nobody could see us so we could really observe what's going on, it probably would sound like we're at a football game. I mean, everybody in there is talking. And at a high school level, it's even worse. They're talking with their mouth to the person across the table from them while they're texting underneath the table to somebody else at the same time. I'm thinking, that's amazing. I can't do that. But once again, it doesn't appear that anybody's listening. They're all talking. So let's break it down for a minute. This idea of listening. First, I think it's hard to listen. It's hard to effectively listen, to really focus on what's being said to you. But I think we must, somewhere along the line, should have been taught how to listen. Think about it. We were probably all taught how to walk. Right? I mean, with my children, I got on the ground and pillows and held them up and foot in front of each other, and another relative's on the other side asking them to come here, and he'd fall over. A couple of weeks of that go by, and he finally learned how to walk. And it was like should have been a national holiday, teaching him how to talk. How many times did I sit a kid on my lap and facing me, and I'm sitting there looking at him saying, Dada, Dada. And my kid's looking back at me thinking, I hope I'm not related to him. But anyway, a couple weeks go by and he says, Mama. And it's, once again, calls for celebration. But did anybody ever teach me how to listen? I don't think so. I think I just kind of learned it on my own, and maybe you did as well. In learning it on my own, I don't think I ever was really that focused on the speaker. I was more focused on me. I was more focused on what I was going to say in response. So maybe how I learned how to listen denied me a lot of opportunities to learn something. Because listening is learning and it requires effort. And it's hard to truly listen. So, as a dad raising my kids, I made many attempts at trying to teach them how to listen. So, one of them was at the dining room table. I love the dining room table. Kids are done with school and just ate and they're in a good mood. And so, it was a lot of times to effectively bring things up. And so, the listening thing was one that I did on an occasional basis at least. I would say, hey, competition time. I'm going to tell you a story, and who can answer the most questions about my story wins. Boy, they would perk up to win. They're bent over, ready to go. And I'd make up a silly story. I'd say like, the bird landed in the forest. He landed on a rock, and he saw an ant. Oh no, he saw 4 ants. And behind him was a little squirrel. Well, wait, there was another squirrel, and they both chased each other up the tree. He flew off, landed on a branch. Across the meadow, he saw 3 deer. Nope, there was 4 deer. Then he looked down at the shoreline, and he could see a couple fish right up by the shore. Took off, landed on another rock. Saw a fox. A couple birds landed on a tree above him. And I'd go on and on. And then I'd finally say, okay, who can name five animals that the bird saw? And they'd pipe up. I'd say, can he add any more? Okay, how many times did he land on a rock? How many times did he land on a stick? And I'd go on and on. Finally, I'd say, okay, you won. Oh man, it was a big deal. But it was an exercise in making them really listen because they wanted to win. They wanted to beat their sibling. And I used to mention to them, hey, true listening, we must shut down everything about us. You shut down your thoughts and shut down your distractions so you can truly listen. Put yourself in like a bubble and all you see is the speaker, and listen to the speaker intently, and you'll get something out of it. Have you ever watched people listening? I was at a seminar about a month ago. I paid a little money to see a guy talk to a group of us about how to make money. Anyway, I went in the conference room and, man, they had tables of 10, and it was quite a large room, and there was a lot of people. I thought, man, this guy must be really good. So he got on stage, and off he goes, and he's talking, and I noticed the guy next to me was tapping his foot to the beat of a mystery song. Looked over, and this guy over here is tapping his pencil on his knee. I couldn't help but notice the guy on the other end of my table kept looking at his watch. And I saw a guy over there, he's texting somebody on his phone, on his leg under the table. And I thought, man, these people paid money to come in here to listen to this guy, and they're not listening. They're just not listening. They were not truly listening. And they were kind of bored and therefore doing everything but listening. So I told my kids, my rules for listening is feet flat on the floor. Stand still if I'm standing and put my weight on both feet. I have nothing in my hands except a pen, and that's only if I needed to take notes. Eye contact with the speaker. And I let a speaker talk. If I'm listening to somebody, I let them talk. I let them talk until they stop. I don't interrupt them with questions. Because if I do that, then I know precisely how much they probably know about the subject at hand. Also, if I let them talk until they stop, it gives me more time to prepare what I'm going to say in response. And additionally, it'll probably be far more accurate. So we practice that with my children. And the idea being, set yourself up for success. Listen intently to what somebody's saying to you. So, how would you grade yourself at listening? Or more importantly, how would you grade your kids? For me, I think I'm kind of hit and miss. I maybe good and bad. It depends. I mean, sometimes I feel like I really, really listen to somebody intently, and I really get the most out of what I'm hearing. And yet, there's other times when I'm looking at the speaker, and I'm going over my to-do list or what I need to shop and get at the grocery store tonight. And you probably feel the same way. So I think we all could spend time working on developing a better skill set at listening. So I think it's important that we teach our kids as well to effectively listen and learn. Because listening is in fact learning, and we don't learn anything when we're talking. Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in today, and I hope this was helpful to you, and if it was, please subscribe. Oh, hot tip. Until our next visit, think about paying more attention to your own life first.